Welcome to Judge Me Not, a safe place to have real conversations with real ass people.
Hey, y'all. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Judge Me Not podcast. I am your pretty cool host, NVD. At least y'all know I think so myself. What's up? What's up? What's up? How you feeling this week? Glad you made it. Glad you're listening. How are you feeling? I hope all is well. Who's been checking up on you? Be mindful of that. You know my motto, if you got time for a podcast, and baby, life ain't that bad. And if life is that bad, you need to ask yourself, do you really have time to be listening to a podcast? Let's jump into it. You ever look up and wonder what happened to all them friends you used to have? Sometimes I used to be like, I'm paying this phone and my phone's so dry, it don't never ring, it don't ding, it don't do nothing. I often used to joke that when I was at the worst version of myself, I had the most friends. My phone rung the most. And the more I started to become a better version of myself and make better choices and to be clear minded, not drunk or high all the time, that social circle got real small. I mean, real small. And then you look up and years pass and you're like, dang, I really should make some new friends because I don't have friends anymore. And it's not something that makes me sad or gets me depressed now because I understand we all are going through our own life journey. We all in our own lane. And sometimes life circumstances, situations happen that bring the fork in the road. And the friendship doesn't necessarily break off because of tragedy or anything negative. You just outgrow the friendship or you guys go into different areas of your life. Doesn't mean the friendship's even ended. It's just not at the same level that it once was, right? I saw this quote, I think it was like on TikTok or something, maybe Instagram, I don't know. But I saw this quote on social media and it says, once a person gets comfortable with peace, they are also comfortable at saying goodbye. When I tell you that is nothing more but the truth because once I started really experiencing peace and identifying certain people that brought out negative traits in myself, or certain people that I really didn't have stuff in common with, and the stuff that we did have in common wasn't healthy, right? What am I talking about? We all got that friend that's gonna fill you up on that hot boiling tea every time it runs past them, and they gonna run to pour it to you. Mind you, I love a good gossip, I love a good tea. Pour me up, pour me up, pour me up. However, once I started not to be hungry for the tea, simply because I'm not around these people. I don't live around these people. I can't tell you nothing about their business. They don't know nothing about me. I don't think about these people. The tea really wasn't juicy. It was like, oh, okay, cool. But then it's like, dang, you need to catch me up because how did we get here? I've been so isolated from everybody. I didn't even know such and such and such and such was such and such. And then it just became too much. And it's like, you know what? I'm gonna go back home and do my thing. I don't give a fuck what nobody else got going on in their life because I'm just trying to survive my life. Then it was, bitch, how you doing? What's going on in your life? That's when the conversation gets real short. That's when ain't no depth. That's when it ain't no long, drug out, juicy details. When you start saying, well, let's talk about us. What have you been up to? What are your goals? What are your dreams? How's your family? What is one thing you want to work on yourself? When was the last time you been on a doctor? When you start talking about grown people shit, like grown people shit, taxes, jobs, these kids, these niggas, your woman, your church, like real grown people shit, responsibilities and things that are common for majority adults, that's when it get real short because we don't have anything in common when it comes to that. So once I started highlighting that, I understood that I was putting myself in environments that I had no business being in. Not that because I thought I was better, simply because we have nothing in common anymore. So it's not serving me any good. And me being present ain't serving them no good. Because I don't really give a fuck about the tea. I ain't trying to get overly drunk and overly high because I got to drive back home 9 times out of 10 because I don't even want to spend a night no more. The energy is shift for me, but the energy hasn't shifted in the room. So why am I here? Once I started realizing that, I started minding my own business. I started turning down invites. I stopped wanting to be involved, and the peace surpasses all understanding. I'm cool with it. My feelings not hurt. I don't get on social media and be like, "Oh, they didn't invite me to this," or "Oh, that." I'm glad y'all living life because I'm living mine as well, and I love y'all, and there ain't no ill intentions, and I will support y'all in any way that I can. It's just we have nothing in common anymore. I feel like when you change, your access also change. And we often put ourselves in complicated situations by continually to be in rooms or around people that although we know we've outgrown it, we still stay around because we got history. That history. So you find yourself in situations that complicates your current status of life or your current growth because you know you ain't had no business there anyways. But familiar chaos is more comfortable than unfamiliar peace. You have to find comfort in this newfound peace in order to find comfort in saying goodbye to certain people, certain habits, certain environments. Baby, I used to fight with that for the longest. I swear I was like, oh, I want to do right. I want to be soft. I want to be in my soft guard area. I want to chill. I want to grow spiritually. I want to grow financially. And then I would start and then I would go right back. Why? Because I was bored out of my fucking mind. The peace, the being still, too much time on my hand. I didn't know what to do with it. So naturally, what I wanted to do was go around and be in those environments that was fun. Toxic as fuck, dangerous as fuck, unhealthy as fuck, but it was fun. So I would constantly self sabotage healthy relationships, healthy friendships, healthy growth because I would pause that and I would backtrack to what was familiar to me. I had to understand not everybody grows at the same pace. And some people grow faster than me. And I understand why they had to cut me off because it didn't fit where they were. They got married, they have kids. My kids are bigger, or vice versa. My growth doesn't match the next person growth. So I don't want my conversations to come off as if I feel like I'm better or I'm doing something better because they're not ready to start their journey. Once you start to realize that, then you understand that it really ain't got nothing to do with you. We all out here again is trying to do our best with what we got. And sometimes you don't need to give a motherfucker no type of explanation of why I can't come around, why I don't want to come around, why I'm not going to accept this invite. I'm just not. And that's cool because you're growing and I'm growing. It ain't nothing personal and you just going on about your business. You get what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of heartache, frustration, depression, all that lower level stuff would really be erased once we realize that a lot of people really don't miss you. They miss the access they had to an older version of you. And when you are no longer that version and you come around certain people or certain environments and they try to trigger you to becoming that older version that they prefer more, then that puts you in a sticky situation. I have a family member that really isolated themselves from the family, and for when I was younger, I just thought it was because, oh, he think he better now. You know, he done got his shit together, and he just don't want to come around. Now that I'm an adult, I understand that if you're not in a place to deny triggers or peer pressure, or even you're no longer comfortable being around certain habits, activities, language, whatever it may be, if you're no longer comfortable with that because that's not who you are, and you want to be acknowledged for who you currently are, not who you was, what you did do, why do you want to be around people that prefer the old version of yourself if you're not comfortable? Makes absolutely sense because family And old school friends that you grew up with, they are the worst ones that like to bring up old shit. Not saying memories, we can't sit kiki kaka on memories. But if that's something 30, 40 years ago that is a negative outlook on who I was, how I thought, the shit that I did, the people that I hurt, why would you want to bring that up now? Why do you find that funny? And now I'd be like, yeah, I used to do that, but now I do such and such, such and such, and I know I was wrong. And then when you battle that negative conversation with the positive that you're doing it, and then you be like, so what you got going on? That conversation gets short because there ain't no depth there. And now it's like, okay, you know what? I need to learn and find comfort in extending my levels of peace in people that I have history with. Some may even be by blood, by simply being able to say goodbye. Maybe I shouldn't go to every family gathering. Maybe I shouldn't reply to every group text. Maybe I do need to learn to set boundaries, even with people that I have history with, if it means protecting my peace and this new version of myself that I really like. You get what I'm saying? So I feel like two questions that I had to ask myself when I started finding comfort and peace and just really being dipped off out the way. You see me when you see me, and if you don't see me, baby, it ain't no hard feelings. More power to you, because I got all the power with me. Who feels uncomfortable with your growth? How do you know that? Think about it. Like when you bring up an idea that you want to do, when you think of like it could be going back to school, you want to start reading more, you want to go to the gym, you want to change your hair, you want to date with a passion, you want to get back in church, you want to change your job. Anything that is positive on your behalf. If you have extended that idea to this person and for whatever reason they have planted a seed of doubt, an idea that they tried it, it didn't work, so you shouldn't try it. Those are probably the people that are uncomfortable with your growth. And a lot of people do it unintentionally. They don't mean no harm. Misery just likes company. And if you invest in yourself and you outgrow this situation, then you're going to leave me behind. And that's going to put room on me to look at myself and say, well, damn, maybe if they did it, I could do it too. Well, fuck. Since she ain't around or if he ain't around all the time, now I ain't got nothing to do but sit around and drink by myself, smoke by myself. Now I gotta hang around with these other people that I really don't fuck with, but shit, we could drink, we could smoke. That forces them to put the light on themselves. Cause you done outgrown the situation. It ain't no hard beef, but I'm just occupied with what I'm doing over here. I can't be accessible for all the bullshit that we used to do. Be mindful of that. That's why I start every podcast. Who's been checking up on you? Be mindful of that. Because again, some people like the old version of you. Once you start investing in yourself and your growth, you are going to shed that version and become a new version. That means if that friendship, if that relationship, if that partnership ain't built on a firm foundation, love, loyalty, trust, commitment, then it ain't gonna last. Cause I got friends, baby. We'll go a year without talking, 6 months without talking, and as soon as we get in front of each other, baby, it's like we ain't never left the room. It's like we back childhood friends. We are laughing. We're talking about our kids, our families, our relationships. We are talking about everything and much more. Why? Because although time and commitments have changed and we can't be right underneath each other, our friendship and our foundation is solid. We just not convenient to each other because we doing surface shit, going out, drinking, smoking, drugs, fucking, whatever that surface shit may be. It's a foundational friendship that it's gonna last. The people who get uncomfortable with your growth, I'm not saying just cut them off. I'm just saying being mindful. I'm saying maybe you need to not tell them all your business. I'm saying maybe fast. If you're always the person that is extending an invite, checking in, maybe take a fast from that. Go a week without being the first one to take a lead, being the first one to pick up the phone. See if that person will put in the effort to contact you. If they don't, all I'm saying is it an equal opportunity friendship? My second question, what relationship or environment that I know that I have outgrown, but I'm staying around because we have history? There's a lot of rooms that I enjoy being in. Not only do I enjoy being in, but your girl will blossom in it. No lie. But the thing is, I know in them same rooms, I have a possibility to do some things that I promised that I no longer wanted to do. And then once I leave that room, I'm going to be hard as fuck on myself. Because why the fuck did I do that? Why the fuck did I do that? And I've done all this work and now I got to restart. And then there it is. Then your bitch going to be probably be in depression. Try it. I ain't got time for it. So how do I avoid that? I ain't even put myself in them rooms, baby. Been there, done that. Enjoy it. No, I enjoy it. But it's time to grow up and level up out of that. I'm trying to walk into new doors, new opportunities, and rub elbows with newer people. That's gonna be living a little better lifestyle. That ain't gonna support the bullshit that I'm trying to do. Actually, my bullshit is gonna make them uncomfortable, so I'm not even gonna suggest it. Cause I know I ain't got no business doing it unless I want to stay in the same bullshit ass life, doing the same bullshit ass thing. So, anywho, a lot of people really sabotage their growth, like I said, like myself, because it's uncomfortable. Growth is uncomfortable. And we find comfort in our chaos that we have always been in. So, like I said, I would start to change and then I would go back because I found comfortable in the crazy, chaotic life that I used to live, that I would sabotage the peaceful, intentional life because it was boring, right? So I'm like, oh, I'm lonely. Oh, I feel like I ain't got no friends. Oh, I ain't got no man because I can't be around my type and my type don't understand me. Just like no more. I said, girl, it. But I was fighting the fact to accept that I have outgrown it. It's not your type, dude. If they don't like the way you live now and you really don't like the way they live now and y'all can't really be around each other lifestyle, it ain't your fucking type, girl. You are maturing, mature mentally as well. So once I really had that aha moment, it was like, okay, let's really break down the difference between loneliness and isolation. Loneliness is emotional and it comes from loss or transition. It comes from being no longer being connected to someone or something that you was. When I was at the worst version of myself, I was surrounded by people. I started doing the rope and the people started shedding. I felt lonely because I wasn't surrounded by those people. I wasn't going out every night. I wasn't sitting around smoking, drinking all day, talking about other folks' business because it brought me no joy. That's attached to emotion. Isolation is more intentional, protective, and it's temporary. You get put yourself in isolation when you're trying to focus on a goal. I want to become a better person. I want to stop smoking. I want to stop drinking. I want to go back to school. I want to read more. I want to get a certification. I want to get a raise. I want to learn this skill so I can get a promotion. I want to get back in the gym. You get what I'm saying? That's enough examples for y'all. But isolation is temporarily pulling yourself back from people or things or activities temporarily so you can focus on a goal, so you can be proactive. Isolation is a physical or social. It's about being alone or having limited contact with people so you can see what you really need to focus on in order to reach the goal that you want to, right? You can definitely see when you're in isolation. You get less calls, you get less invites, you find more comfort when you are by yourself. When you're lonely, you are extending invites. You trying to hang out. You trying to put yourself out there because you feel so lonely, you just don't want to be by yourself. Sometimes people choose isolation again for very important self-improving reasons. You need to catch up on your rest, health-wise. You need to set boundaries mentally. You on a healing season. You know you can't be around because you done had a heartbreak. Best way you know how you in your past to heal this heartbreak is getting a little drink, going to the club, getting a little drunk, you know you don't want to do that. You tired of doing the same thing. Maybe you need to sit back and get in your healing system. Maybe you are fasting from people, foods, things. Ain't nothing wrong with that too. Hop in the word. Sometimes isolation can be forced. Like I said, it's to be proactive and it's to reach a goal. Maybe your work schedule. Maybe you got kids. Maybe you're taking care of an elderly person. Maybe you've moved and you can't really be more accessible like you used to. Or maybe you're dealing with trauma and you need to isolate for a certain period of time to figure some shit out. You can be isolated and still be at peace. People who are lonely and they have this dread of loneliness are not at peace with isolation, right? But you can also be surrounded by people, a whole bunch of people, and feel lonely. It's loneliness is really like feeling unseen, unheard, and disconnected. Again, when I was at the most worst version of myself, I had the most friends. But deep down inside of me, I was lonely as fuck because I knew I had really nothing of in depth, foundational building of our friendship in common with these people. Love them to death. Great history. Most of the history we doing fucked up things. Stupid stuff. Nothing of rewarding. But I love them. And they love me at my worst. But I was lonely because I had nobody to talk about going hiking with, doing yoga with, a gym partner. You want to go to church? What are you really dealing with? Those weren't conversations that we was having. He'll take this blunt, take this shot. Let's go dance. Let's go pull a breezy. Help me get these hoes. That's how we feel our trauma. That's how we feel our sadness. That's how we dealt with our issues. And it's cool for a lot of people. Why? Because we all don't heal at the same time. But when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired and you want to get off that rat race, baby, you know something else got to shake. So, what's the key difference of isolation and loneliness? Isolation is the absence of people. Lonely is the absence of connection. You feel unseen, unheard, you feel disconnected. They do overlap, but they are not the same. So basically, I feel like if you are growing, healing, leveling up in any form or matter, whether it's spiritually, financially, educationally, whatever you are trying to do to make yourself a better person, naturally your social circle should shrink. If your social circle hasn't shrunk and yet you find yourself attached to bullshit, chaos that you really ain't got nothing to do with, then maybe you should look at that social circle and maybe it's time for it to shrink. If your friendships are built on a firm foundation and it's not built on something that's surface level, then those are good friendships to keep because even when you are in your isolation period to become the best version of yourself, you know that friend is always going to be there. Those type of friends do not get afraid of your growth. Remember those two questions. What situations or friendships are you holding on because of history? Who gets uncomfortable with your growth? Think about those two questions this year. Hoard onto those two questions this year. Put some stuff in action to really make yourself find the answer to those two questions and move accordingly. But on the flip side, because y'all know I got that my first season, I believe it was the Loner mentality. I got to be careful when I am in my isolation period because I will get into this loner mentality and just say fuck people all in general. Then it's hard for me to come outside and interact with people at all because I've built up a low tolerance for people. So you have to really be sure that isolation doesn't come into a chronic habit of disconnection without emotional support, because that's when loneliness and depression creeps in. We ain't supposed to be by ourselves. It is a season. It is temporary. It is not a lifestyle. How do you know if you got chronic isolation and now you are forcing yourself to just be a hermit? When isolation turns into an unhealthy lifestyle. Again, you ain't got no patience for people. You got crazy social anxiety. You no longer feel comfortable making eye contact. You don't even know how to engage in a conversation. Maybe you need to get around somebody. Maybe you need to talk to somebody. If the things that you once found that you had pleasure in, you no longer find pleasure in, and you just don't want to do nothing. You just feel comfortable laying around all day. You ain't done your hair. You ain't got no haircut. You ain't done your eyebrows. Your beard is a mess. You ain't done your hair. You maybe bathe every other day. You done got chronic isolation and probably some sprinkled depression done laid on with you. Because the enemy wants us to be isolated because that's the best time the enemy can attack you and make you feel like you're supposed to be alone. You're not worthy of love. You're not worthy of friendship. You're not worthy of companionship. If you do get around people, you're going to fuck up. You're going to make the wrong decision. Then you're going to be back in a fucked up situation. You're going to be heartbroken. You're going to be broke. You're going to have to start over financially. Don't let the enemy block you from making intentional encounters. Just be mindful of the encounters that you have, right? Figure out a way to cure loneliness without forcing new relationships or friendships. Don't be desperate going out there, throwing yourself into people, throwing yourself in situations, throwing yourself in rooms that you ain't got no business being in because you're just lonely and you're afraid to be by yourself. When it comes to dating, this is me talking to myself. Don't be playing with people's time if you're not even true to who the fuck you are and what the fuck you want. Y'all heard me say I'm talking about my type don't understand my lifestyle. And I'm not comfortable around my type's lifestyle. That ain't my damn type. But yeah, that was around these people trying to force them to work. Don't even hop in the dating pool if you're not confident with who you are at this version of yourself. Don't waste your time. Don't waste some people's time. But also don't force yourself around people because you're lonely. Because that'll also give you some fucked up situation. Let me tell you, child. You've been looked up and had a child. Or even worse, a stalker. But be careful because missing people can lead you back to your old ways and stop your current growth. That's all I gotta say. You can love people and still not allow them to have access to you if it does not serve you any well. So what we're going to be mindful of, who's uncomfortable with our loneliness, what situation or relationship are we holding on to because we have history. That's it. That's all. Bye.